Yes, this will be the last of the series that we have covered. And yes, even the last session that we did was something that I also personally enjoyed, because there was so much that we could learn from that last session, as is the case with the other sessions. But I just hope that everyone who is listening to us live and who will listen to the recorded versions will apply these concepts and then become more adaptable in their lives, right? So just to summarize and just to kind of bring all of us on the same page, we are looking at adaptability as a very important lever. How do we create a growth mindset? In my personal opinion, I believe agility, adaptability, and resilience, all three, when they align together, when we have these three facets, if I can use that word, in our life, we create a growth mindset, and that growth mindset helps us bring in a culture of change, and change is what we are looking at, right? And let me present my screen with you. And yeah, so I would want to start with something which um, is very important, right? So we have spoken about all these things. So how do we measure adaptability? Can it be measured? If yes, how? And then I'll keep on moving today, because I'm not in my normal. I'm not at my home. I'm somewhere else, and it's what I'm doing also is an example of adaptability, and thank God for the technology that we are able to connect today. Anyways, right? So
Measuring adaptability will not be easy, but yes, any management graduate will always look at, if there are some way you can quantify few things and try to, let's say, assess it. That will be really good.
That's right. That's right. Because what you don't measure, how do you manage? So that is very, very important, right? So it is very important that we measure this. Okay, so yes, it needs to be measured, but how do we measure adaptability? Some thoughts on this? Or let me put it in more simpler words. If we were to measure our adaptability quotient, how do we know our adaptability quotient? Because there are various tools that helps us understand our IQ and EQ, which is intelligent quotient and emotional quotient. But I was thinking, as we are wrapping up this series today, that it'd be good if we can learn a few things in terms of how do we measure our adaptability quotient, and how do we do that, right? So before I share, any thoughts that you may have on this?
Sir, I would say like without that change, like before that adversity, the output that we were achieving compared to the output this time.
Okay, that's a good way of looking at it.
Comparison, I think we can.
That's a good way of thinking, Shivam. Thank you. So you can do your past and present data, and then you check. Well, that's true. As I'm thinking about your answer, I think so that gives us more of efficiency. So how efficient I have become, or if I have come down on my efficiency quotient. Right? So I would relate that more with efficiency. But thank you, Shivam, for your answer on that. So I'll wait for maybe a minute or two for others to share your thoughts on this. I know it is something that many of us may not have thought about, and it's important that we have some way to measure it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you three ways how we can measure our adaptability, and once we measure it, how do we improve upon it, right? So life is all about improving on every single day. How do I become better than what I was yesterday? So what I'm going to do is play a video for you, and this is a TED talk. I may not play the entire TED talk, but I'll play a part of it, and very important points that will be shared with us. And I think those are very, very important points. And so let me stop sharing this particular presentation and pull up another presentation for all of you.
Ani.
Okay. So please do confirm if you are able to see my screen. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
एक minute, just a
Maybe the video has not started.
Just give me a minute, sir. Just a second.
Okay.
Are you able to see the screen, sir, now?
Screen we are able to see, but the video it only says dead.
Is it audible now?
Now, yes, I did. It started.
This is our adaptability. What question do you think we can ask ourselves, or for that matter, someone else, to assess his or her adaptability? What questions do you think will point us to his or her ability to adapt? Just how can I do that better is one way of checking. Okay, what else?
The stress that they may talk about.
Okay.
Change.
And how do they deal with that stress?
How to deal with
Okay.
the stress of.
Okay. That's a good way, sir. Thank you. Anyone else?
Are they working at the same level of, let's say, efficiency?
Okay. Okay. Fair enough. Right. So let's look at the three questions, which are very, very powerful questions that all of us should remember and maybe share it with others so that we can improve on our adaptability quotient. Here comes the first one. The what if question. How do you think a what if question will help us measure our adaptability? Why do you think this is a great question to ask ourselves, or for that matter, someone else?
Sir, we can take different situations here by asking what if questions. Like, what if the
That's right.
scenario
That's
is not good?
good answer. That's right. That's right. That's right. So the way I look at it, in addition to what Shivam just said, what if question will help us understand how will I adapt to situations that are not existing today, but are likely to exist in the times to come. That is what is the VUCA world, volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous world. While the past is always very clear, the future is blurred and not clear at all. So what if, like the question she's posing, what if there's a heat wave that stops all customers to come to the store? So what if that was a question people would have envisaged maybe 2 years back or 3 years back or maybe 5 years back? What if there's a pandemic and there's a national lockdown? What would you do? I think so it would have helped people and organizations prepare better for any eventuality. So I think so when we have that question, what if, it stimulates something in a mind, and there is a mental simulation that happens, and then it will be interesting to see what the answer is, whether we are giving it to ourselves when we ask this question about our own adaptability, checking our own adaptability, or if we are asking it to someone else. So what if question will help us stimulate or create a simulation of a situation that may happen in the future. What if? Let's hear more on the what if. Any questions on this? Any thoughts on the first question? Do you think it makes sense? Yes, no, do you think this makes sense?
Yes.
Yes.
Super, very nice, right? So think about the what if question, and the industry that you're in, or the domain in which you're working, or for some of your students, the domain that you hope to work in the future. Think about the what if questions, right? So what if this would happen? So how do you then process your thoughts, the data that you may have, and then take decisions, right? So that is a great one. What possibly could be the second question? If you have understood the line of thought, in extension of this line of thought, what would be the second question? Or rather, what could be the second question?
How to deal with that?
Okay, so the how question is what Shivam is saying. Okay, thank you, Shivam, for that. So that would rather be a subset of what if, but at least you're thinking about it. So very nice, Shivam. Anyone else? Okay, so let's look at the second question. And
trick that I use to assess adaptability in founders is to look for signs of unlearning. Active unlearners seek to
you would have heard this sentence from me many times. What our chairman also says, we need to learn, unlearn, and relearn. Now, how to unlearn? Can one of you, could one of you give an example of something that you unlearned and then relearned? Just think about an example. Okay, so listen to this example. It's a great example that she gives, and I think so that will help us understand the process of unlearning through this example. So listen to what she says. Have you read Gandhiji's autobiography?
No.
Thank you for that honest answer. I suggest that you should read, and anyone who has read it knows what was the last sentence. That sentence so apt even today. Is so apt even today. What was the last sentence he wrote? Here is the last sentence.
I must reduce myself to zero. At many points in his very full life, he was still seeking to return to a beginner's
So what
mindset.
did he say? I must return or reduce myself to zero.
Zero. I don't know anything. I am learning new things. Okay.
Isn't that an amazing statement? I believe this could be the best statement that you would have heard today. At least in my understanding, this is an awesome statement. I must reduce to zero. Go back to the beginner's mindset. That is what is unlearning. And the example that she gave of a person learning to ride his bike the opposite way, right? So when you ask the bike to turn left, it goes right, and you ask it to go right, it goes left. Something that I experienced when you visit the US and then you have to drive there. Now we in India drive, we have the right hand wheel drive. There it is the left hand wheel drive. And it is completely opposite. You just cannot drive the vehicle the way you drive in India. So you have to unlearn everything that you know. Driving in India to zero, right? And that's a fabulous statement said by a fabulous leader, right? So I must reduce to zero. So the first question, I hope, makes sense to you. The second question is a great one. What could be the third way to assess our adaptability quotient?
Tell us, maybe we are curious.
Think about it. As I'm just taking a grape. Ashish, any thought?
I'm sorry, not really. Yeah.
All right. So you listen to the third example. Ashish will relate to being a technical person and talking about technology. And the third question is, how do we get into a mindset of exploration and not get trapped into exploitation? So the mindset of exploring versus exploiting. So listen to what she says, a great example of Netflix and Blockbuster videos she would share with us. And this again is awesome. So listen to what she says. Right. And this also is a great example of understanding what we learned last time, is that how in the post-conventional world, in this VUCA world, in this world of disruption, we need reliability and adaptability. And if you remember what I said last time, that if you're only managing reliability, you're only managing your decline. And this, I think, so is a great example that tells us that how Blockbuster, for those of you who don't know Blockbuster was one of the world's largest video rental companies not long time back, right? And they only managed their decline. Right? So that's three great questions to help us understand how do we measure our adaptability and how do we improve on it. Any thoughts, any questions? Let me adjust my video. Not proper. Okay, so any thoughts on this? Any thoughts on this? Am I still audible?
You are. We are.
So this I think so is something that not many of us would have thought of, and I think so this is a great learning for all of you. I think so. You may have other thoughts, but I think so this is a great learning. And think about these three points. The what if question that helps us get into a mental state of simulation, asking, how can I unlearn? How do I go back to the beginner's mindset? How do I reduce myself to zero and operate from beginner's mindset? Keep your mind open to learning. And the third is, how do I balance exploitation versus exploration? We don't explore new things, right? And even on this call, who are listening to us live and who will listen to the recorded version, we don't have many of us who try new things. It's something that worked for us in the past. We keep on repeating it, and we need to realize that what brought us here will not take us any further, right? So that is, in essence, what is adaptability, and that is how adaptability should be our DNA. Because if we want to stay relevant in the future, we need to realize that what brought us here will not take us there. And as the chairman says, that doing more of the same will not help us achieve our aspirations and ambitions. And I think so that holds true for us as individuals, as an organization, as a society, as a community, as a nation, as a world as well, right? So let me share my screen for one more time. And please confirm if you're able to see my screen. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. Right. So let me transit to what I want to share with you, and come to the end of the series is this particular statement. Can you see the statement on your screen?
Yes.
Can you throw some light on that, any one of you? First of all, do you agree with this?
Yes, yes, sir.
Correct, right? So Shivam, just to help you understand this sentence better, let me share another statement with you, which again is an awesome statement. It says that we as individuals, we don't resist change. We as individuals, we don't resist change. We resist being changed. Think about it. Does it make sense to you?
Little more explanation, maybe little would help.
So a little more explanation required. So I'll say that again. We don't resist change, but we resist being changed. So change is there in the air. We all know it. We all appreciate that. We all acknowledge that. But the minute someone comes and tells me to change my habits, someone comes and tells me that staying in the comfort zone is not going to take you any further, you need to do the new. You need to study new. You need to prepare yourself, be ready. Very, very difficult to change people's behavior. Very, very difficult to change their own perception, because they believe that what brought them here is sufficient for them to progress in the future. Right? So, just a second. Sorry for this. Sorry for that interruption, and so I'm not at my home and I'm somewhere else. So sorry for that. Yeah, so that is one point that I thought is important for us as we start our journey of adaptability. I need to adapt to the new situations. Right? The world has changed. The world order is changing very, very fast. The rate at which old knowledge is being replaced by new knowledge is unprecedented. Never before in the history of mankind has it happened, or humankind has it happened. You may want to go to YouTube and watch a video by one of my favorite thought leaders. His name is Gary Hamel, Garyhamel, and he has a fabulous video, short video called Management 2.0. If you just go to YouTube and write down Gary Hamel Management 2.0, it will. That video is again an awesome video. I'm sure that will help you, right? So as we go into the next part, it's important that we work towards it. It's important that we prepare for the future, right? And I thought, let me share with you the lessons that I have learned from the massive changes that has happened in my life, both personally and professionally. All those periods of valley days, very, very difficult days. What does it teach you, right? So I have learned a few things, and as we come to the end of this series, let me share with you 5 things that I have learned and would want to share that with all of you, especially the youngsters. Hopefully it will trigger some thoughts for you, and then you would also build up on this. So the first thing that I learned is the power of acceptance. What do you mean by acceptance? Very important, right? So are we willing to accept the things that are happening? What is your understanding of acceptance?
To see things as they are.
So to see things as they are. That's a good answer, Shivam. Thank you. What about the others?
It's like inevitable. Yeah.
Our response to external environment.
That's right. That's a good answer, Yash. Thank you. So what is my response? Am I accepting what's happening in the external world, or am I living in a state of denial, right? And many of us stay in a state of denial. नहीं, ऐसा कुछ नहीं हो रहा है, right? So that's a good answer, Yash. Thank you for that answer. Anyone else? Okay, so let me share with you what I learned, and what I have practiced for a long time is called the serenity prayer. And what is a serenity prayer? It is there on your screen. Just read it and tell me if it makes sense to you, and if you could explain what you understood by this serenity prayer. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. This has given me an amazing peace in my mind. Right? So accept that there are few things I cannot change, can't do anything about it. That doesn't mean that I'm weak. I should also have the courage to change the things I can. And then God gave us the wisdom to know the difference. Think about it. And this particular prayer has played a very, very important part in my life. Whatever I am today I would attribute a lot of that to this. I was a very, very short-tempered person. I was not what I am today, right? So if I share some of my life stories, you may not even believe what I'm saying is true, but you should check out with that with my wife, right? So from a very, very short-tempered, angry, and taking up fights on the highways, hitting people, all that, and to what I am today, I have absolutely moved. I'm not saying I've moved 180 degrees, but I'm definitely not where I used to be. I'm not where I want to be. I believe that I'm a work in progress. The serenity prayer, that God grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change. I realized I cannot change anyone. I can only change myself. I can influence someone else. And that understanding has given me a lot of mental bandwidth to do something else. It has taught me not to take things personally. And that has been a great learning for me. I'm just sharing these learnings. Hopefully, you will resonate with what I am sharing. The second is accountability. I have learned accountability as I have more gray hair now. I have less hair on my head now. So, what is accountability?
Answerability.
Okay, so answerability is a part of accountability. Thank you for that answer. What else is accountability? So answerability would be a subset of accountability, if I can talk about that in that language. So what would be the superset of accountability? What would that mean? In simple words.
Being responsible.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. So when we talk about responsibility, what do we mean by responsibility? Ashish or Yash or Shivam or anyone. I can only see a few names on the screen, hence I'm just seeing the names and then speaking those names. What is responsibility?
Responsibility.
Fantastic, very nice, absolutely spot on, Patel sir. So responsibility. Thank you for remembering that, sir. And I learned it from Stephen Covey. If you read books by Stephen Covey, he says this beautifully. My ability to respond to a trigger that comes from the external world, that is when I will be given responsibility. So I respond to a stimulus. I respond to a catalyst. I respond to a trigger. I respond to a situation. And when my response gives me the desired result, the world is super duper fine. Everything is sunshine. But not always will my response give me the desired result. So when the result is not in line with what I thought we would achieve, I need to own that response. So it's the ownership lies with me, and ownership is so very foundational and fundamental for our existence. And I think so that sense of ownership brings in a sense of accountability, because accountability will have both ownership and responsibility into it. Right. So when I say I have the accountability, I am accountable for that. Not just that I'm answerable for it. I'm answerable, I'm responsible, I own the responsibility. Things have not worked out, I put my head on the block. I don't pass the blame to anyone else. That is accountability. And what I have realized is this statement. This is just Anand sharing some learnings with all of you, and hopefully it will benefit some of you. I hold myself accountable to face my fears daily. I also, if I have wronged someone, hold myself accountable and seek forgiveness before the day ends. This is, again, I can talk about it for a very, very long time, but don't have the time. But I would want to urge you, request you, recommend that you think about it. That are you accountable to face your fears daily? I am accountable. No one is going to fight my battles for me. Yes, people will be there to assist me. People will be there to encourage me. People will be there to cheer me up. So I've got a lot of cheerleaders in my life. Like Patel Saab is a cheerleader. So he would cheer me on, but I have to run my race. He cannot run my race. So I have to fight those mental demons, the fears. And I think so I am accountable in case I have done something inadvertently. Say sorry. I think so that is a great lesson that I have learned in my life. And talking about responsibility, what do you think would be the lesson learned under the point of responsibility? I have learned that I am responsible to live my life as a child of God. And I've said this many times. And I need to stand true to my values. My language cannot be the language that the world speaks, because I am not a child of the world. I am a child of God, and a child of God should always have the character of God. The character of God has humility, has humbleness, has compassion, has integrity, has values, has love. So it's my responsibility, to no one else's responsibility, that I live my life as a child of God and stand true to my values, responsibility to care for my family. I cannot delegate that to anyone else. My parents, my wife, and our daughter. I need to do everything and everything that I possibly can to make sure that we have a home, not a house. And I don't know how many people have a home. I know a lot of people who have a beautiful house. Good, but better is to have a home. And if you ever come to my home in Ahmedabad, and I invite you to visit my home, the first thing that you will see when you enter our home is our family mission statement. My responsibility. My responsibility that my daughter learns to respect her grandparents. If I don't, she will never. Very, very important. Something that I have learned, and what I have also learned is responsibility towards the organization that I serve, the work that has been allotted to me. I need to work with an ownership mindset. I own the response. It is fundamental and foundational. It gives a sense of accountability, and that sense of accountability drives accomplishments and achievements. Very, very, very important, right? And how can I be the best version of myself?
Abby,
How do I? Yes, sir.
Abby, I give one.
Please, sir. आपका microphone mute हो गया, sir.
And my subordinate is not performing well. Is some mistake. Then I am accountable, and my subordinate is responsible. Is it true?
As a manager, you are, when I say accountability, I said accountability will have, let's say if accountability is a superset, it will have a subset of responsibility and ownership. So you cannot tell your seniors that this task was not done because someone else messed it up. So you need to take that accountability, and as I take my accountability, responsibility automatically comes, because remember, with responsibility comes accountability. And so it is, you cannot separate the two, because you are in that position. So if I am your subordinate, if I messed it up, you get the blame. If I did it well, you get the credit. So if you want to understand this even better, whenever you have time, sir, go and watch a video of one of my favorite Indians, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, and his narration of his experience when the first missile that they tried to put in space, it did not go to space, but it went into Bay of Bengal. And how his leader, Dr. Satish Dhawan, taught him a great lesson of his life. Go and watch this video. It will help us understand these 3 points beautifully. Right? And you should also read books written by Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. There is so much of learning in each of those books. So, to answer your question, sir, you're accountable. And when you're accountable, you are both responsible for the results and you have to own that response.
Thanks. It is clear.
Most welcome, sir. Most welcome.
Sir, can you repeat the video name?
Video name, good question. So you just type Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam and Dr. Satish Dhawan, if I remember that name correctly. short video where he talks about how the missile that had to go to space did not go to space but went into Bay of Bengal. Right, so you will get that. You will get that video. Or just write Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam on leadership or on accountability. You'll get that video. If you don't get it, send me a WhatsApp. I'll find it and share the link with you. Okay, so 3 things I have shared: the acceptance of it, the accountability, and the responsibility. And the 4th thing that I have learned over my years, and this is a summary, a kind of a nichode of all my 30 years of working. So this does not come very easy, my dear friends, especially all of you young boys and girls on the call and listening to it on the recorded version. Life does teach you, right? So what I'm just sharing with you is something that is a 30-year-long learning journey, right? So when you talk about passion, what are you passionate about? Right? And this statement is a very, very important statement. If I didn't have the passion for my life and what I do, I never would have become a person who possibly has, a lot of people call me an overcomer. And yes, I have overcome a lot of obstacles in my life. I always say my life is transformed by trouble. So whenever I go through a period of trial, I say it is not a period of trials, it's a period of training. Whenever I go through a difficult storm in my life, I've always said this is happening for me and not to me. So my urge, my request, my recommendation to everyone listening is whenever you go through difficult days, whenever you go through those periods of trials and tribulations, consider them as periods of training. God is preparing you for something bigger and better. I believe that there are some storms that come in our life not to destroy us, but there are some storms that come to clear the path for us. I'll repeat what I said. Some storms come in our life to clear the path for us. And if I'm not passionate about what I do, I would never ever become an overcomer. So if you're making notes, you may want to write this down. I need to overcome to become. I'll repeat. I need to overcome, then fill in the blanks, to become, filling the blanks. For example, I need to overcome shyness to become bold. I need to overcome laziness to become more active. So what is that you need to overcome? Only you can know. We may not ever know what you need to overcome because no one knows you like you yourself, right? So very, very important. And what I have learned about passion is what I do, right? And I'm a teacher's son. My mother was a teacher, is a teacher, and I think so she will always remain a teacher right through her life. And so my passion comes through her in my blood of teaching, of coaching, of equipping, of empowering, of enabling a lot of young boys and girls so that you become the best version of yourself. So you become better leaders that the world needs, and the world needs leaders. The world does not need bosses. So you give me an opportunity to teach, you give me an opportunity to interact with someone, I will grab with both hands. And that is something that comes from passion. And when you're passionate about something, you will do it even if you're not paid for it, right? And so that is so very, very important, right? So how do you build your leadership potential? Pardon me, I'm moving a lot today because I'm sitting on a bed and it's a makeup setup for me for this session. And I'm not used to sitting with my legs folded, right? So please pardon me for moving a lot today, right? So that is what my passion has been, and what life taught me. That adaptability thing that taught me in life is to live a life of purpose, right? And what is your purpose? If I were to, rewrite my purpose statement, as in when I do that, I'm going to borrow the last line from the autobiography of Mahatma Gandhi ji and say that my purpose is to reduce myself to zero. That is just an awesome, awesome purpose statement to have, right? While that is something in my head right now, but what is written down, and many of you would have seen that in my presentations, that my purpose is to live a life with an abundance mindset. There is enough and plenty in the world. There is no need for us to have a scarcity mindset. We need to have an abundance mindset, and to live with compassion and passion. Compassion to do something for the poor, right? And like the compassion that I have learned from my father is anyone who comes and works in a home, we have never called them servants. They're always helpers. Just think about it. Just make this paradigm shift. Never call anyone that he's a maid servant or he is a domestic servant. That's a wrong word. I believe they are helpers. They come to help us. So that brings in a lot of compassion, and you look at that person slightly differently, right? And to beat yesterday is a great statement. Keep on thinking more, keep on reading more. Like even today I finished 2 certification courses during the day. If you go and check out my LinkedIn profile today, you'll find 2 certification courses that I've done on a field that I'm not in. I am studying about data science. I'm studying about design thinking. So I did 2 courses on design thinking and how do you implement design thinking. So I had some time during the day, but I thought I should not be wasting my time doing nothing. So I logged on to my system, technology is there, and did 2 certification courses, right? So that's how you become better on a day-to-day basis. And the last thing is, all of you know that I always say, start unknown, finish unforgettable. We all start unknown, but how do I finish unforgettable? I think so if I were to die today, there would be some of my inputs that people will remember long after I'm dead. That's a good life lived. I think so. I don't have the money that many of you have. I don't have the positions that many people have, but I think so. My focus has always been to contribute in a way that outlives my life. Right. So that's something about adaptability. And the last sentence is the epitome of what adaptability as a DNA means, is to endure the race that is in front of you. The word is to endure. Remember, the race is not of the swiftest, the fastest. The race is of the swiftest. I need to be swift, right? And I need to endure. It's life, dear boys and girls, my friends, is not a sprint. It's not a 100-meter sprint. Life is a marathon race. And in the past, I've run 4 full marathons. There are so many thousands of people who start from the stadium, but only a handful of them come back into the stadium. So I need to endure. I'm a long distance cyclist. When you do long distance stuff, it is all about endurance. So you take it 1 kilometer at a time, maybe 500 meters at a time, short targets that you set for yourself. And that's how you persist, right? So that has what been my learnings as far as adaptability is concerned. And at the end of the day, it is all about taking a chance to change, and taking a chance to change is what is adaptability, right? And the last thing that I would want to share with you about persistency is, remember, in the confrontation between the stream and the rock, the stream always wins, not because of might, but because of persistence. And remaining persistent in a very, very difficult world, in a world which is constantly disrupting, requires me and you to have adaptability as our DNA. Right. So that's it from my side. For a change, I'm finishing slightly early for a couple of reasons. I'm at someone else's place. So I've borrowed 1 room in their home, so it's not right for me to, take their space, which is not mine. So thought of sharing these things, and then from the next series, we are